obviously been a long time to get to this game. To get the first win in front of the home fans, is that a nice way to kick off the season here?
Yeah. I mean, we made it way more entertaining than it needed to be from my perspective, but it was a win's a win, and it was great to be in front of our building. It was nice to see some of the renovations, the scoreboard, all that kind of stuff. I know the guys were excited about that. You could probably tell the way they played the first period. Yeah, but then it went away after that.
Jim, what happened in the last 40?
Too many penalties. We'll start with that, Dennis. And sometimes, and we saw it in Toronto. I think was Toronto up on us by 3 in the first period. And then we came and we outshot them like 30-10 the rest of the way. Their coach gets frustrated. Same thing. Unfortunately, human nature takes its course. Sometimes you try to fight and guard against it. We didn't do a good enough job, I guess, as coaches, and the players didn't come up with the same energy or style of play in the last 40 minutes.
Jim, you mentioned the penalties. You're one of the most penalized teams in the league right now. From a coach's perspective, what do you do about that? Because, obviously you're telling the guys stop taking penalties, but there's only so much you can do. How do you try and address that?
Well, if it's repeat offenders and they're legitimate calls, then, people don't have to go on the ice. They can, that's the only thing the coaches really have is ice time. Tried to get through it as far as, just like being more responsible and stuff with our sticks, but clearly it's a problem. They're all stick penalties, right? They're all stick penalties, so we have to address it. Sometimes you talk about it too much and it gets worse. We try to take the approach hands off. I think somebody asked that question before, but it's time to address it.
Coach, addressing the face-offs, where are you at with that?
I think Dennis asked that this morning, yeah. That's face-offs are a battle. We'd like to win more, but that's not something we're going to sink our teeth into yet. There's other things that we'll have to deal with before that.
Coach, Fogel gets 2 goals and almost a hat trick in this game. What are you contributing to his success, and what have you liked in his overall game?
Well, again, I'm going to talk about the line and not just him. He had an outstanding game tonight. I thought he was our best player in Vegas last game too. But really, it takes 3 people on the line, and then, of course, you roll with different defense combinations. But you guys watched the game just like I did. That Turcotte line with LaFerriere and Fogel continues to lead us. And they didn't really change their game much. They were pretty consistent. We got into penalty trouble, so they didn't play a lot as a line in the last 40 minutes. But when they were out there, they played in the ozone again.
It's kind of an insult to injury to have. You have a night we have penalty trouble and then gutting for an empty netter, you pick one up and make it a game again. Just how frustrating of a sequence was it when Kev took that penalty?
Yeah, extremely.
Jim,
If you want to be out there in those moments, you have to deliver. Kevin's got a empty net goal in Anaheim the other night. Made a good play on the wall, got the puck out. But those are high leverage moments, and you can't be hit and miss. You got to be dependable.
Is that one of those penalties, like you said a couple minutes ago, like sometimes there are the legitimate calls, other times, it's not something you necessarily need to address? Is that one where that's one you probably shouldn't be taking, or does he kind of get the green light he's going for the empty net?
You can't. No, you can't take that penalty. Not in the ozone. Not in a
Jim,
game like that.
People are always excited the season just starting. They want to dig their teeth in, react to the games. It's only been 8. When do you start really analyzing maybe from a big picture situation, or how do you handle it as a coach this early on, trying not to maybe overreact to things?
It's a good question. We've talked about that a lot. We felt like I know it's 8 games, but because the season set up so odd for us to start the season, we thought we would give our guys a chance to get home in a proper rhythm before we really started to try to evaluate them and our game, give them a chance to catch their breath. So we'll see. There was a lot of good in the first period tonight, so if we evaluate that, we're really happy. The last 40 minutes, not so good. But we'll get a few home games under our belt and then probably try to make some decisions.
If I told you in Game 8 that Turcotte would be our best line for multiple games, what would you have told me opening night?
Well, put it this way. You're Dodgers. You're betting on the Yankees?
I'm from the Bronx.
You're from the Bronx. I wouldn't have took that bet. And so I would say credit first to Turk, him specifically, and then his line mates again, because it's just not one guy; it's 3 guys. But no, he's really surprised me, obviously, to the upside, which has been great. He played well last year. We talked about it. He played how long? You guys would know better than me. 2 weeks with Kopi, something like that with Kopi and Q. So he did play some more minutes. He had a better opportunity. And he played well in those minutes, but I didn't think he'd be where he is already. So good for him.
Is it disappointing on the flip side that Phil's or Kopi's line isn't carrying the
We need those two lines to play better. I think, I think, is it a negative or is it a positive? Is it a positive that we're 4-2-2 and those two lines haven't hit their stride yet? Or is it a negative that we're 4-2-2 and those guys, for whatever reasons, I don't know. We have a tough time with that one. But clearly those two lines have not hit the stride. We expect them to be better.
Jim, you mentioned the odd schedule. I think it was 18 straight on the road, 7 straight games to start the season on the road. How do you kind of find the line between not making excuses for your team with those inhibiting factors, but also kind of taking that context into account when you're trying to look at these games?
No, again, it's because it's a little bit unprecedented. We just have to be careful. But I would say this is a really, really good league. It's a hard league. You saw San Jose's battling to get their first win. They look like a pretty good hockey team to me. And they have some really good players, obviously. You saw it. So, when you win games, you got to be careful not to overanalyze it. There is a big picture that goes on, and we got to get some guys hitting their stride who haven't yet. So we're just going to leave it like that for now.
Looking at the power play, the first 3 games was a weapon for you guys. The last 5 pretty dry. Are you satisfied with what you're seeing, and you're just not getting the results, or do you feel like you could be generating a little bit more momentum off of it?
Yeah, there's no question. Sometimes, and we've had posts and we've had some opportunities that probably should have went in. Were high danger chances. A number of them that didn't go in. Tonight we weren't dangerous at all, and it's important. The special teams, they got 2, we got 0. We can't continue that. But the guys are good players. They know the roles. They've been here for a long time. They'll end up scoring, but we have to get some mojo there. But it's there, and through our top 2 lines, they don't have a ton of mojo right now.
Can the best time to get your message across when you aren't happy with certain facets of the game be after a game that you did actually win, even though you weren't happy with it?
Usually that is usually the way you look at it. I think people are sometimes a little bit more receptive to constructive criticism when they feel good. But yeah, it's early. Is what I would say is it's early. I'm not unsatisfied with how we've played it at all. Frankly, I'm not unsatisfied at all. We had took Drew out of the lineup. That's a big piece on the power play. People want to talk about the power play. Big piece on the penalty kill. Big piece at 5-on-5. So it's going to take a little bit of time. And I'm really happy with the record. I think we can play better, but we're not going to try to search for something that's not there.